Let's say that you have zero wheel-to-wheel racing experience. So why not enter a 24-hour endurance race? That's exactly what Nigel Boyce did. Let's throw the green flag on this episode. Well, as I mentioned, I have Nigel in studio. Nigel, it's great to have you here on the Late to Grid podcast.
It's great to be here. My first podcast ever, so I'm excited.
Well, we're going to be talking about a lot of firsts because you and I met at your first, not only wheel-to-wheel race, but your first endurance race, your first 24-hour race.
Yep.
I think that's pretty cool. But first, before we get there, let's talk a little bit about how you got into motorsports and racing. And it was your uncle that got you interested. What did he do? Where did he take you? How did he get you to get the racing bug?
Well, it really started with he kind of got me into cars because I've always been really big into just cars in general, and just my love for cars kind of just evolved into a love for racing. He didn't really directly get me into racing, but that's where it really stemmed from. So I can kind of root it back to him.
Gotcha. We can blame him or we can celebrate him for that. So
celebrate. Definitely celebrate.
There you go. That's awesome. So where was it where the cars sort of came closer to racing? How did that come about?
That's actually a really good question. Honestly, it just went from loving cars to loving driving. And then from there, it just kind of became like, how can I get on track and just make myself a better driver? And it just kind of evolved from there to autocross, time trials, an endurance race.
That's right. Let's talk about autocross. When did you do your first autocross?
It was 2018. I just bought my daily driver, which was a Honda Civic Si. And
Nice.
I went to my first autocross, like not even 2 weeks after I bought it, just to try it out. I've been in love with it since.
That's awesome. Was that the intent behind the Honda, was to do autocross, or Honda and you thought, let me go have some fun?
Well, I used to work at a Honda dealer before I worked at the Dodge dealership. And I used to have another Honda Civic Si that was the one car that I never really wished that I got rid of. And I just kind of eventually worked my way into getting another one. And from there, I was like, I'm going to not get rid of this one, and I'm just going to do what I've always wanted to do and get out there and start driving it.
Start having some fun. What was that first autocross event? Who put it on? Where was it?
It was done by a group called the Poughkeepsie Sports Car Club, which is an affiliate to Mohawk Hudson SCCA, kind of a sister club. And it was in Kingston, New York. And I just kind of showed up, and everybody was super friendly, and they talked me through it and what I had to do, and just took to a duck like water, I guess.
That's great. So rolling in first autocross and the people were supportive. I think that speaks a lot about our sport and how welcoming we are. What surprised you most about the autocross event? Something that you didn't prepare for or something you thought was really cool?
The variety of cars was cool. It's just, we had the Poughkeepsie Fest typically shows up with like actual like open wheel cars and stuff, so they actually have a pretty deep log of actual race cars that show up, but also just the general just people that normally show up, Corvettes, Porsches, everything from Miatas to Mustangs. It's a good time, and everyone's just out there having a good time, driving as fast as they can around a bunch of cones.
Did you think autocross was going to be it, and that would be the only thing you do?
No, not really. I just kind of went out there to try to sharpen my skills before I decided to jump to actual track driving, which was actually ended up being a lot easier of a jump than I initially thought it was going to be.
Right. So, did you take the Civic Si on track? Is that the track car?
Yep. Well, it's my daily driver, my track car, my autocross car, which eventually led me into getting the Neon, because that showed up for sale one day, and I was like, you know what? It's a caged car. I can use this to get my wheel-to-wheel license. And then the Neon kind of became my track car.
Yeah. Oh, man, we're going to have some fun talking about neons. Was it the Neon that caught your eye or just a caged car that could go on track?
It was mainly because it was caged, but the price for the neon was too good to pass up, and I kind of already knew, being a car guy, that neons were pretty good in the amateur racing world, so I kind of
Hmm.
expected that it was going to be just as good as the legends say, as they.
Yeah. What was the history of the Neon? Was it an ACR? Was it a showroom stock car?
Um, from the history that I see on the logbook is that it was initially a production racer, and then when it was no longer a production racer, it was converted into an endurance car, and then it went through a bunch of endurances, mainly at Watkins Glen and Summit Point. Um, at one point, it won a 12-hour race at Summit Point. I don't remember the year, but it was in the logbook, which was cool. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
and then from there, I used it as a track car. And eventually, my friend Benjamin hit me up and he's like, "You have a caged car. Would you like to go racing with it?" And I said, "I guess." And he said, "Well, if you can get the car ready, I'll pay for your entry into the 24-hour race." And that's how I ended up in VIR.
Huh.
And that ended up being a big fiasco in itself, which is quite a funny story, too.
Oh, we're going to be talking about that. So, how
Yeah.
long have you owned the Neon?
About 3 years, maybe four, somewhere around there.
All right. And it's been a pretty good car for you. It's gotten you through some track days.
Oh, yeah. The whole reason the endurance race came up to begin with, because I let Benjamin drive it at Pocono at a time trial. And between him and two other friends, we had four drivers, and we did 330 miles in 2 days with the car, and it just ran flawlessly. So they made the offer like, "Hey, this could actually be, still an endurance car." So we decided to try to prep it to pass safety.
Yeah. I think that's a great story. Starting off autocrossing in the Honda, doing some track days in the Honda, just seeing a Neon for sale, and then the buddies come together and we talk about, hey, let's go have some more fun. Let's do this. Let's do that. Now there's something else we can do, that's endurance racing. So let's talk a little bit more about that. You guys decide to enter a 24-hour race at VIR. Did anyone do an endurance race on your team before?
I think Benjamin did at one point, but I don't know if it was a 24-hour race or not.
All right.
He told me he had a Miata at the time, so I don't know if it was his Miata or if it was somebody else's Miata, but he did an endurance race in a Miata. So he had at least a little bit of experience. He had more experience than pretty much anybody else on the team.
Yeah. So we met, like I said earlier, at VIR for the Champ Car 24-hour race, and the team, we're getting our two Neons ready, and then hey, look, there's another Neon just rolled in. So I pedal over, talk to a couple people on your team, and you guys are unloading. You're trying to get through tech and all that other stuff. I want to talk about how you were finally able to take the green flag, because you were missing something you needed for tech. What was that?
The fire extinguisher system.
Yes.
Yeah. In the SCCA, only it just requires a fire extinguisher bottle, which I had in the car, but we didn't have the system that would spray the driver oil under the hood. And
Hmm.
we had to pull an all-nighter. We had one of our team members drive 8 hours to go pick up this FIA-approved bottle and hooked it up first thing in the morning.
So I'm going to guess you guys are scouring Facebook Marketplace from the paddock
Hmm.
of VIR, and you found one that was 4 hours away.
Hmm.
And the story I heard, the guy left it in his front yard, and you guys picked it up.
Hmm. Yeah, because he wasn't home when we got there to pick it up.
Drive back, install it, and then you took you started the race a few minutes after the green flag dropped, right?
I believe it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours
Okay.
after the green flag.
That is a story. I mean, you had to do it in order to race. So you might as well
Yeah.
go. It makes a good story.
And credit to our teammate, she ran out there and grabbed it, and we got it up and running, got the car ready, got it through tech, and we went out there and started racing away, trying to knock
That's
out laps.
that is awesome. Think about what could have happened, right? Punctured tire on the drive out, car issues on the drive out. It's not the system that you actually needed, right? Could have been a scam, right?
Yeah.
No one ever gets scammed in the marketplace, right? But it
I don't
all
know
worked.
how they necessarily pulled the logistics out to go get it, I don't know if it was on Marketplace or if it was just this person said this and got leads and phoned, but
Uh,
that was a team thing, which credit where it's true. Our team also had pretty good, hookups and logistics to be able to figure that stuff out.
I think it's a great story. And then you took the green flag. You're out there racing. What, other than not having the fire bottle, what surprised you most about a long endurance race?
Well, the biggest thing that caught me off guard is when I got out there on track, because I'm coming from a world that was predominantly time trials, where everyone is running 100% all the time. So getting out there on track, it was more like everybody was running 70, 80%. So it was kind of trying to learn myself to wind things down and just not wreck the car to knock out lap after lap after lap. It was just a different mindset than what I was used to. And when I came in and I relayed all that information to our team, because my whole team was basically all time trialers. So I was like, you guys don't need to go out there ripping on the car 100% the entire race. You can slow it down. It's fine.
Hmm.
Just knock out the laps. And that was
That's
the
one of the
biggest thing that caught me off guard.
Yeah, that's one of the conversations we have on our team is we're not looking for fastest time of day. This isn't go out and put down your fast lap. You got to be consistent, got to be safe, keep the car off the curbs, bring it back for the next driver. Because you got to finish a race. So in order to win a race or win a class, you got to take you got to take the checkered flag. Did you then drive that first stint?
I did, but mainly I drove it mainly because one, I needed to make sure the car was okay because I just put a wheel bearing in the front. Dodge Neons on wheel bearings.
Yep.
And our first driver that was initially going to leave, he wasn't quite ready to take. He had an issue with his zipper on his fire suit. And by the time he got it sorted out, I managed to throw my suit on and get out there. So I'd rather knock out some laps than wait around with somebody fiddling with their zipper. Whoops. And plus, I had set the car up and stuff, so I was making sure the settings and everything was right, and the car just felt good, and just get a good feel for the car before I handed it off to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, you came with a truck and trailer full of stuff, but was there something you forgot that you needed for an endurance weekend?
Um, Preparation. We showed up
What do
with
you,
we didn't really have a plan. We kind of winged it. 90% of what we did, we just kind of winged it as we went. We just showed up with a bunch of tools.
that's how it starts. The first thing you have to do is just show up,
Yep.
right? You'll learn as you go. And I'm sure if you needed something, there were people there that had it and tried to help.
Yep. I had to rewire up the ignition switch because the ignition switch only was set up to turn off the fuel pump only. Again, this was an
Mm.
SCCA standard, so I had to rewire it to shut the whole car off. And I needed to find soldering for big, thick um, battery cables. And I went around the grid, and a nice team that had old BMWs helped us out. They gave us the soldering and a blowtorch, and we managed to wire that up nice and neat.
That's the beauty of the Paddock. And
Yeah.
everyone's willing to help. No one's willing to, push you away or say, tough luck. You should have been more prepared.
Yeah, even when we were looking for the fire bottle, we were scouring the lot and getting all the leads we could from any team that would willing to give us a lead. And I think that's how we ended up finding the bottle. But
Okay.
yeah, we had the officials running around for us, talking to them too, because we wanted to make sure that what we were going to go pick up was still legal to the rules. Because the first
Hmm.
one we came across wasn't quite legal to the rules, even though that one was like half an hour away. So we had to find one that they were like, yeah, this one's okay. You guys can go get this because we didn't want to make the trip or put the effort in to all at the end of the day not be able to still pass tech for something silly like the bottle being the wrong bottle or something.
Yeah. So let's talk about the rest of the race. What were did you have any mechanical issues? Was there anything else that surprised you during the event?
We did keep blowing a fuse for the fuel pump, which I believe I figured out, but I couldn't get it figured out at the race. So what we did, we just kept putting bigger and bigger fuses in. We started with 20 amp, and then by the end of the race, we had a 30 amp in there. But
We've done 230 amps on that circuit once.
yeah,
Yeah, it was Gingerman and kept blowing. That's a pretty common failure on that car. Do you have it all fixed for your next event?
I believe so, because when I wired up the transistor, I actually wired it into the fuel pump circuit because I figured I can turn the transistor on and off by flipping the switch. I think the wire shorted out for the transistor, which was blowing out the fuse in the pump. Because since we rewired the transistor, we never had any more fuel issues. So I'm kind of leaning towards that was the issue with our specific fuel pump.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. So by trade, you're a mechanic and you just happen to work at a Chrysler dealer. How has that helped you with your racing, having the mechanical background?
It helps a lot because when something happens, I have the know-withal to just kind of jump right in and start trying to figure out what's going on. Especially being a Dodge mechanic, I can kind of know like how the circuits typically operate for electrical issues. Mechanically, I kind of just know how to maintain the car, what to look for, what to feel for, and just the general processes of being able to replace stuff if something breaks down. So it's nice to know that, and it's also nice that I have all the tools that I can just pack up and take to the racetrack too, because that saves a lot of money than just having a trailer full of tools all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So do people, when they find out you're a mechanic at the track, do they grab you and say, hey, how do I do this? Can you help me with that? Or help me troubleshoot?
Sometimes, but usually I'm busy trying to set up our car or trying to fix something that was going on because we had a lot of unforeseen things going on during the course of the race that we had took some we had everything and anything under the sun was just going wrong for us.
Yeah. Did you take the checkered flag?
We did. That was my goal, was to show up and at least finish the race. I
That's
don't know
awesome.
what Benjamin had it in his head we were going to win. I told him slow his roll. We have to finish the race, and that was my goal, was to finish the race, and that turned into quite a challenge.
What was the biggest challenge you faced during the weekend?
Well, I think the biggest one we were faced was when we got hit. What
Oh, that's
our
right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, we just swapped drivers, so we had a new driver that hadn't gone out on track yet, and he was just kind of going around feeling things out and just driving along. And somebody tried to dive bomb him, and he slammed right into our passenger door. And in this process, he also damaged our rear suspension, and we had to finish the rear suspension out because um, there's that rear bolt that goes through the bottom of the subframe in the rear there that holds the
Mm-hmm.
two lower control arms. That was actually twisted and elliptical inside of the subframe, so the whole suspension was kind of tweaking side to side. So we had to pull out a welder and weld up some plates to hold that in place. And then once we had that all straightened out, we kind of eyeballed it. We went out there and hit the track again, but 2 hours later, we were on track for 2 hours. That's when they tell us that our transponder was no longer working after all this. So then we had to go back in the pits, rewire our transponder back up, and then get back out there again. So we did fix the car, but we also lost 2 hours of track time because our transponder was out and nobody really kind of told us until it was 2 hours into the stint.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that stinks. I forgot about you guys getting hit, and we were watching in the pits the Champ Car live feed, and our team watched that happen. And man, that was a hard hit.
Yeah. Our driver was okay. He did initially complain of a headache, so we sent him to the medic, but it
Mm-hmm.
ended up just being a little dehydrated. But he was ultimately fine at the end of the day.
That's
And
good.
what ended up being determined that it wasn't our fault. So, just a racing thing.
Yeah, and we saw the BMW on the footage too, pulling into the pits, and he got just into the paddock, and the front just fell apart.
Yeah.
Didn't make any. So I'm pretty sure they got the car back out too. But good thing nobody was hurt, and good thing your car got back on track.
Yeah, we had to go to TMI there, the race store, and get a mirror and rig up a little mirror in there because they took our mirror out. And I still can't figure out how to get the door open because how can I replace the door if I can't get the door open? But I'm
Oh
still working on
man,
that. Yeah, I'm still working on that. I'll figure it out. I do have a spare
yeah.
door,
Do you?
so it's not
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's just trying to figure out how to get the door off so I can replace it.
Mm. Sawzall time.
Yeah, think I can get to the back of the bolts for the latch there, and I think if I could spin them out backwards, I can loosen the latch enough to get enough wiggle out of it to get the latch to pop. But that might be a springtime project, to say the truth.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, the more and more we do the endurance racing, the more and more body work we're doing. There was quite a few hits at the team was at Mid Ohio, and eventually they put we had to use some tape to hold some things together on the car, and the team wrote on it, "This is not your turn-in point." Yeah, so it's definitely a contact sport lately.
Yeah, I mean, it happens because in the case of our team, almost everybody in our team didn't have any actual racing experience, like on track. So, and I assume from because when we went to the drivers meeting, there was also a lot of people there that have never been on track. But I do a lot of simulator driving, so I kind of knew what to expect and knew how to keep the car safe at least. Some people were, I guess we had a guy that was trying to be a little bit of a hero and dive bombed us a little bit, but that's he did get docked 2 laps for it, but I don't know if that actually really affected him more than it affected us.
Okay. Did you do any night driving?
I did, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't do a very good job wiring those lights up. They were really dull, so we were just kind of flying around the track and trying to see what we could see. But by the time I did my stint at night, I had already been up just between prepping the car and fixing the car and rewelding that. And just, I think I was up nearly 24 hours, so I was pretty tired, and I ended up running off the track. And I came in, I was like, hey, I gotta get another driver in. I'm getting too exhausted at this point. And this was around 2 in the morning, sometime around then.
Mm. That's a smart move to make that call.
Yeah, because it was turn 10 actually I went off on. I went over, I just kind of misjudged it and just went off and went down the little hill and hit all the little bumps. And I was like, yeah, if I'm misjudging that, I might be a little more tired than I think I am.
Yeah. Were you able to go to sleep after that?
Yeah, because we put, ironically, the guy that was in the car when it got hit, we put him in the car, and he went out there and drove for 2 hours, and they had the red flag for fog, so we didn't need another driver for a while. So all of us got some pretty good sleep until the fog lifted, and they got everybody back out. So that was a pretty nice break for us, as we were all running on fumes at that point.
Yeah, you got the adrenaline going. It's easy to stay up. I shouldn't say it's easy to stay up, but you kind of want to stay up. You want to see what's going on. You want to make sure the team's doing what they should be doing, but at the same time, you got to rest. You got to have your mental focus.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up the weekend, is there something you brought that you didn't use that you thought, man, we are absolutely going to need this at a 24-hour endurance race, and you didn't even touch it?
I did buy a press to do wheel bearings if I need to, plus a bunch of extra wheel bearings. I only ended up using the press one time to replace a bearing right before we even went out on track, just because I didn't quite trust it. It was an old bearing. Um, and a lot of tools. I brought a lot of tools to do this, that, and everything. But other than that, I can't really think of anything. We had way more tires than we needed too, because we brought Falcon 615Ks, and we brought 12 of them, and then a set of Kendas. And in hindsight, that was way too many tires.
Yeah, the track seemed to be pretty good on tires.
Yeah, we actually only went through one set of tires and one tire that we ended up getting a flat on because we hit something. But other than that, we could still go out there and probably run another 24 in the set that we had. That was a total misjudgment on how many tires we needed.
At least you were prepared. That's the important thing.
Yeah, like I said, we wanted to be prepared for as much as possible, but we didn't really have a plan to do it. So I'm pretty proud of the team for being able to just wing it like that and roll with the punches.
Oh, absolutely. So is there another 24-hour in your future?
Possibly. I mean, the team is up for it, but it's going to, again, come down to funds because, truth be told, we don't really have a lot of money. We're not really a well-funded team. We just were like, hey, a bunch of friends that wanted to get out there and hit the track. And I'd happen to be the guy that owned the car. And it was the closest thing that anybody else had of being able to get out there.
Yeah. What's the racing look like for the rest of the season? You guys need to go out and do something again?
A lot of the guys are actually out at the Time Trial Nationals out in pit race this weekend.
All right.
I'm not going to make that one because I got some personal things I got to take care of, but I would be there if that wasn't the case.
And you'd be time traveling the Civic?
Yeah, that's kind of my time trial car. The
Gotcha.
I the Neon has kind of become a little bit of an autocross car at the moment, mainly because the I ran out of tire for my Civic and I don't have the budget to get new tires, so I got plenty of tires for the Neon now. So
Yeah.
that's now my temporary autocross car till the end of the season.
So what class would that run in autocross?
I run FSP. I don't know if that's the class it's supposed to be in, but that's just the class I decided like, hey, it falls in the rules and this is the one I'm going to run in. So
Do you have another autocross event planned?
just pretty much finishing out the local season. I don't really have any national tours or anything nearby going on.
That's right. That seat time at the local is just as good as any national seat time you're going to get.
I keep telling everybody there that if you get good at autocross, jumping on the track is a much easier step than you would ever imagine. A lot of autocrossers make really good time trial drivers.
That's awesome advice. And while we're talking about advice, I asked what you wish you had known when you first got started, and your response was it was easier than you thought, right?
Yep, yep. Because
Yeah.
I thought I would have needed been like an autocross pro, and I would have needed all this modifications to my car to get out there, and this, that, and the next thing. That's just really not the case. You can go out there and do it with whatever you got, as long as it's mechanically sound.
So is that the advice that you would offer to someone that's looking to get started? Just get started?
Yeah, I mean, go to your local autocross track, run a couple runs with the group, get comfortable with it, and jumping up to going to an HPD event at an actual track is not that hard of a jump. It's actually a little easier, if you ask me.
When you want to learn something, whether it's about endurance racing, autocross, your neon, what are some of your go-to resources?
I just kind of scour the internet. The Neon, I got lucky because there's a whole bunch of documentation that came with it. You know, I got the all types of books and logs and the history of the car and what's been done to it and all that stuff I have on a big binder and books and stuff for the Neon. So the Neon that's helped with the Neon a lot. But you know, old forums and stuff, internet works good. Facebook works great. There's the Neon ACR group that they have on Facebook, which is great. A lot of good information there. Um, and then that's pretty much a lot of good information. You can talk to people at the track. That's good for setups and what they're running and how they can help you. And you can always ask them what you need help if you know you got a line you can't figure out or a break point you can't figure out. There's a lot of good information out there if you're just willing to ask the questions.
Right. Yeah, there seems to be a good amount of community surrounding the neon. You're right. The Facebook groups, lots of opinions, but lots of ideas and a lot of help within those groups.
Hmm.
I asked you what your racing goals were, and I love your response because I'm going to read it verbatim. I have pretty low goals, honestly. I don't have unlimited money. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And my driving is average at best, I think. So my goal is pretty much to get on track when I can and enjoy my time there.
Hmm.
And I love the last part of that because to me, that's what this is all about. We're just out there to have fun. We're out there to have a good time. If we collect
Yep.
hardware, super, great. But
Hmm.
just like you and your crew at the 24, hey, let's go do this. Let's go have some fun. Oh, something
Yeah.
broke. Let's fix it. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Just get to the end of the track. Just gotta enjoy it. So that's all. It's a good way to just kind of get your mind off things in the real world. You know, you just get to the track and just focus all your energy just being at the track. It's a good time. A
Hmm.
lot of just a totally different vibe, honestly.
It it is, and I even stopped by a track yesterday, or it's a track day was just going on, HPD event, and I had some friends there, and I had the opportunity to just kind of swing by and say hi. I was there for 2 hours. I left there with the biggest smile. I didn't bring my helmet. I didn't sit in a seat,
Hmm.
just hanging around the cars. And I think that's what makes our sport so great. It's the people. It's being there. It's meeting people like yourself and just seeing the sport grow. And you don't have to have the big transporters. You don't have to have the big money and the fancy cars and the Porsches or the BMWs. You can have Dodge Neons.
And you can still find them cheap with cages in them and everything. They're great
Yeah,
little, great cars to get started in.
I don't want to hear that. I'm done buying Neons. So let's go back to the budget comment you made, because this is a topic that comes up with racers all over, whether they're experienced racers or just getting into it. You don't have to go into the dollars and cents, but how do you determine the budget you're going to put together for your autocross or your track days or even your wheel-to-wheel stuff?
Well, generally, I kind of budget my time trials and autocross stuff in. So I kind of figure out where my tire budget is, how many breaks I'm going to eat through. If you do this enough, you can kind of figure this out just from getting out there and doing it. Because consumables are always the biggest budget eater. Entry fees and all that stuff. For this year, because of the 24-hour race, I kind of just threw all that to the wayside, and just whatever money I was going to spend on time trialing and going to national events for autocross and stuff, I was just going to put off to the side and make sure I had a budget just for the endurance race. And that actually helped out a lot, because we ended up buying a lot of spare parts and just tools and stuff that a lot of it we didn't actually end up needing. So it's nice to be prepared.
That's a good thing. So one thing we used to do, we would sometimes go circle track racing, not with the Neon, but we would buy hubs, brakes, axles on Friday, and if we didn't need them, we'd ship them back on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So for the listener, it's kind of like, how do I make a parts list? Just don't open the box. Take it with you. If you don't need it, you just take it back to the parts store.
Mm-hmm. Or in my case, I usually just throw it off to the side and hold on to it till I will need it. Cause,
you could do that too. Yeah. So as you've been autocrossing and doing HPD events and now the wheel to wheel, what is the best racing advice you've received?
I've got so many just good advice, but a lot of that is from the time trial community. Like, sometimes slower is faster. You can't always be just getting out there, balls to the wall all the time. Sometimes you just slow it down a little bit, get your bearings in the sector. It's better to lose time in one turn than through a series of turns. So if you can set yourself up right for one turn, and it'll make you faster in a section. Sometimes that's the way to go. Also, you don't need horsepower. Horsepower is pretty overrated when it comes to road racing. I mean, it's nice to have, but you don't need it if you know how to tune a car, just to make sure it can turn and stick to the road.
Yeah, horsepower sometimes can cover up mistakes.
Yeah, I say that all the time too.
Well, we're getting towards the end here, and before we wrap up with the final question, is there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to cover? Any topics, any ideas?
I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
All right. So now it's time for the final question. Think about autocross, think about time trial. Have you ever been late to grid?
Yes.
All right. What's the story?
Well, there was the endurance race. We ended up being late to grid on that one just because we missed the fire bottle.
Yeah.
And a couple of time trials I've missed, been late to grid, just straight got there late, missed the driver meeting or anything like that. And sometimes they let you in, sometimes they don't. Most of the time, they're pretty good at letting you in. I mean, they know a lot of people understand, like, sometimes you're not always on time. Something, traffic happens or delays happen, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nigel, it's been great having you on the Late to Grid podcast. I can't wait to see you at a track again very soon.
I'll try to make it out. I'm always trying to make it out there, so we'll see what my budget says, and hopefully we'll see face to face again. It's always a good time to be out there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.